The John Lebang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised. Greetings, Earthlings, and alert the media. The John Lebang Show is coming at you, loud and clear. Welcome, my friends, to another 60 minutes of Sonic Vibrations. I'm your host, John Lebang, and there is a lot of news that we need to cover this hour. But first, I'd like to get to a banger I told you so. It wasn't but a week ago, ladies and gentlemen, that I had brought up the fact that the Republicans were probably going to pass some measure of gun control that the Democrats couldn't necessarily pass when they were leading the government. Well, we had this not just 5 days later coming out of the president's mouth.
In the possession
or
of that
might
individual.
take the firearms first and then go to court, because that's another system. Because a lot of times by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures. I like taking the guns early, like in this crazy man's case that just took place in Florida. He had a lot of firearms. They saw everything. To go to court would have taken a long time. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process second.
Take the guns first, Mr. Trump says, and then go through due process after. Yet, you can't have due process if you take the guns first, Mr. President. Now, to emphasize that I did tell you that this was going to become an issue and we're going to start hearing talks about this, let me play you what I said, or a little segment of what I said last week. Mark my words. You're going to get some measure of gun control you wouldn't have been able to get under Obama. But because the Republicans are in office... And here we go. We have President Donald Trump suggesting that we need to confiscate guns from supposed mental people who are possibly going to do something in the future. He doesn't talk about the fact that the FBI knew about this. They and the police department down there in Florida had no less than 40 reports on this kid or this crazy person, as the president suggests. The school system, through the Promise program, didn't report additional transgressions by this crazy person. Yet, the focus, even from the president, is we should confiscate guns and worry about due process second. All this, and if you watch the video, ladies and gentlemen, you will see sitting to his left is Dianne Feinstein, the lady who would love to take away your guns.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in. Sitting right next to President Donald Trump saying we need to confiscate weapons from supposed crazy people, then you know the authority on that is going to be the government, and they're going to deem anybody they feel a threat to their power structure, a mental health risk, and they're going to confiscate weapons from them? Is that going to be our veterans who have post-traumatic stress syndrome? This is an increasingly slippery slope. But to emphasize a little more that I was ahead of the game on this one, that I was hitting the target exactly, here's another little bit from last week. But we're going to watch. We're going to see some kind of gun control. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know how restrictive it will be. But since the Republicans are in office right now, since they're in control of the federal bureaucracy, and they have a president that's part of their party, they'll be able to pass something that Obama and the Democrats could have never passed because the opposition from the Republican Party would have been there. And the Democrats will not be in opposition of what is coming from the Republican Party because the overall agenda is there for the Democrats. And who is sitting next to the president when he's saying we should confiscate weapons? Dianne Feinstein, the biggest gun-grabbing person there ever was. She would do anything, as you heard earlier, to get the guns out of the hands of the American people. And here we have the president sitting with the Democrats, same side of the table. You didn't see any Republicans sitting next to him? No. So here we go one more time, ladies and gentlemen, just so you get this in your head. Here is what the president said. And this is just to emphasize, ladies and gentlemen, that I told you this was coming down the pike. And the many poo-pooers out there, the people who try to discredit me, whether it be online here or through email or on videos, when I make comments, well, guess who's right again? Let's play the tape.
In the possession
Or
of that
Mike,
individual.
take the firearms first and
Take
then go
the
to
firearm.
court. Because that's another system. Because a lot of times by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures. I like taking the guns early, like in this crazy man's case that just took place in Florida. He had a lot of firearms. They saw everything. To go to court would have taken a long time. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process second.
Take the guns first, go through due process second. And I'm wrong on that. I had people all over me about me saying that this was coming down the pike, and it was less than 5 days later, ladies and gentlemen. Those words were uttered out of Donald Trump's mouth, sitting next to the biggest gun grabber, Dianne Feinstein. Now you tell me if I'm wrong on that. Did I not see this coming? And am I a prophet? No, I'm not a prophet, ladies and gentlemen. I just know how the game is played. And things that couldn't have been imposed, directed during the Obama administration because the opposition would have been there from the Republicans and the so-called right of the United States, can be passed during the reign of Donald Trump, and the Republicans and their own base will turn a blind eye to it. And trust me, I know this because people who used to share all the things I did when Obama was in office, and even after that, when I was actually supporting Donald Trump on a few things, have now completely stopped sharing my stuff because they're in bed with the Republicans. They're hardcore Republicans, and it doesn't matter that the Republicans are doing the exact same thing as the Democrats would have done. In fact, it's easier to do while the Republicans are in office. So that's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. And this is not the only thing that I've been right on, by the way. And I'd like to bring this point up. I'm not trying to toot my horn to show you I'm better than any of you or better than the other guys out there. I'm just saying, hey, when I tell you something, I'm not full of crap. I know the game that is played on the American people. I know how they manipulate the minds and hearts of the general population. And the sad thing about it all is that no matter how times they pull this stuff on the American people, they fall for it time and time and time again. But it was, 3 days maybe, before the big hit on the stock market there, that the banger told you to watch your P's and Q's with the stock market? Did anybody listen? No. And does anybody give me credit that I was so right on that? That I told you, watch out, something might be coming? We're due for a correction? Did you guys care? No. Do I get credit for that? No. Am I better than everybody? No. Like I said, I pay attention. And that's why a lot of people out there listen to the John Lebang Show, because they know I pay attention. And before we go to break, I just wanted to hit this because I had I won't call him a troll, but he's a person who is in deep, deep, deep sleep when it comes to the president and what really is going on. This guy began to attack me when I pretty much proven the point that, see, I told you guys that this type of stuff was coming down. And this guy, Mr. Duffy81, I'm going to give him a little pub so you can go check out his YouTube channel. We want you to check him out. He met Sasquatch, by the way. I don't know how he met Sasquatch, but apparently Sasquatch befriended him. And now he's trying to follow Sasquatch through the woods, and I guess they're best buddies. And the best buddies of Sasquatch is going to criticize me for pointing out the fact that Mr. Donald Trump is promoting a very slippery agenda. Even the suggestion by the government that they can confiscate weapons just because they can make up something called, oh, you have some kind of mental health, you can't have your guns. And until we prove that you're not some crazy person, we're going to keep your guns. To that, I say, Mr. Trump, that is not due process. To Mr. Duffy81, who's best friends with Bigfoot, Sasquatch, who follows him around, apparently. Man, you're so credible. I'm surprised you're not doing a radio show instead of me.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
Mark my words. You're going to get some measure of gun control you wouldn't have been able to get under Obama.
Or might take the firearms first and then go to court, because that's another system. Because a lot of times by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures. I like taking the guns early, like in this crazy man's case that just took place in Florida. He had a lot of firearms. They saw everything. To go to court would have taken a long time. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process second.
Sometimes I really enjoy being a nobody, a person who has the freedom to actually speak his mind and not be directed because I'm so worried about keeping my job somewhere. See, I'm going to have my job whether 500,000 stations carry me or 2 stations carry me. Because I've built this John Lebang Show, the Banger Universe, my website. I've built it. And although I could really use the help from some people, like some social media help, because I hate doing that, I'm going to keep doing it by myself because there's no help coming. We got to take a quick time out, ladies and gentlemen. We're right against the break. But don't go anywhere. I've got so much more news coming your way. So stay tuned. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Listening there. Don't go anywhere. The John Lebang Show is going to be right back. Just ask the hillbilly.
That's right. Right after this.
What about me? Maybe next time. Check out the new book from Derek Shelmerdine,
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
It tells the story of rock and roll from its roots right up until the mid-70s punk.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Not just the music, but also the events that shaped the music.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
It includes the backgrounds to recording sessions, singles, album releases, births and deaths, epic concerts, and festivals.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Shelmerdine has made a painstaking effort to document pretty much every event that would prove significant in shaping popular music.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Purchase the book at www.rockandrollunraveled.com. Follow him at Twitter at R&R Unraveled and look him up on Facebook at Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
By author Derek Shelmerdine.
Available now.
If you are elderly, disabled, receiving SSI or Medicaid, and you have a medical need or require assistance with daily housework, shopping, grooming, medication, you may qualify for housekeeping at no cost. Call now. VIP Home Healthcare, 248-579-3805. VIP Home Healthcare, there when you need them. That's 248-579-3805.
You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
It's a hell of a good time, isn't it? So living the life of a internet star, a social media star, which is funny in my minds, but social media has become the mainstream. It's no different than the mainstream media. That's why I probably am not that good at it, because I don't fall into the mainstream in any regards. But we have a young lady here who wanted to be an Instagram star. And because she wanted to be an Instagram star, and the kind of Instagram star that lived the high life, she ended up going into major debt over the whole thing. She would buy fancy clothes, go on trips all over the world, pictures, the whole bit, trying to be this massive social media star. And because there's so many of us out there, it's all noise. Because I include myself in the media as far as alternative media, social media, and mainstream media. In the whole world of media, there are so many people vying for attention that if you're going to start spending a ton of money on it to try to put yourself above everybody else, oh, I'm living the high life. Look at, I've traveled here and I've traveled there. Look at my fancy new dress. Look at the wonderful food I'm eating. You see it on Facebook. People snapshotting food that they're eating out at the restaurants, and they're taking pictures of this, and we're enjoying that. Well, this lady was trying to be a star at it, and she went broke. She went into debt, amassing nearly $10,000 worth of debt at 26 years old. And she, as the person who is now reflecting on this, there's an article on this in the mainstream media. She says she was trying to live a lie so that she could keep up a certain appearance that was well beyond her means. So the only reason she was popular is because she was lying to you. She was faking it all. That's a common thread on social media, ladies and gentlemen. Most of these people are faking it out there. Maybe that's why I don't engage in it like other people do. You don't see the John Lebang Show posting daily pictures. Oh, and putting up nice, happy blogs. Just to get the media attention. Or the social media attention. Because social media has gone beyond the alternative media as far as popularity. So social media is just below the regular media, the mainstream manufactured news. And now we have the people on social media doing all they can, blowing their budgets out of the water to try to maintain this lie that they're living the high life. Because everybody wants this rich and famous lifestyle, and people love to watch the people going to other places because they live through people because they can't do it. Or if they could do it, it gives them ideas on what to do. And I don't get the whole thing. You know, I don't understand the Facebook Live and going on Instagram to be a star. I've always thought if you present a good product and you're genuine, then people will gravitate to you. That's my philosophy. Because I want real people gravitating to me. Unlike this young lady, she was living a lie, put herself in debt, and you think the people who were watching her, who were following her, weren't living a lie themselves? Because that's what most social media is. You've got the people who pretend things are so happy for them, and then in real life, I know some of them personally. They're miserable. Just miserable. So social media allows for the fakers. The regular mainstream media is the fakers. They're the best of the fakers. That's where you get... What do you think an actor is? A news anchor is no longer a news anchor. They read teleprompters. That's all they read. Why do you think they're so smooth? They have something going down, reading right down for them. And all they have to do is follow along. Unlike, the real people out here who are trying to give you decent news. If you don't want to take me and put me in that category, you've got a whole bunch of other people that are trying to give you real things. They're not faking it. And then some of the real people, I just wish they weren't doing the Facebook Live and the social media, because they don't even attempt to look presentable on their videos or their posts on YouTube or Facebook or anywhere, Instagram. So we have the people that shun it all and shouldn't be doing it, but because it's available to everybody, they will do it, no matter how bad they are. And then we have the other people who are lying the whole way through, who are pretenders, who want to look like they're living the grand lifestyle so people will follow them. People believe the lies, the fakeness. I call Facebook Fakebook, because I know plenty of people who post on Fakebook whose Facebook lives don't even resemble their real lives. I know how miserable they are. I know how dirty some of these people are. Yet on Facebook, they're trying to represent their life's happy, grand, and exciting. And I always thought giving yourself a genuine feel. You don't get fakeness from the John Lebang Show. You get what you get, and that's real, personal opinions, straight up news, with facts backing it, not conjecture. If it's a rumor, I'm going to tell you it's a rumor. But I'm not going to go on Facebook and pretend that my life is so great just so other people will gravitate toward me. Oh, he's doing awesome. In fact, I hate those kind of people. I despise those kind of people. When I'm promoting the good things that are happening with the show, all of a sudden I get people wanting to be my friend, wanting to be a part of it because, oh, he's doing well. I don't go for that. I don't want these fair weather friends or fans, for that matter, got those words tied up, that are only joining in, taking part in something because it's popular. Right here, we want you to come to the show. We want you to, if we're doing the news hour, we want you to learn something. We want to help you. And I don't know why I want to help people these days. And you take it from there. But if something like what we just happened with the shootings, and the FBI's not doing their job, and the sheriff department's not doing their job, and the school system's not doing their job, the government's not doing their job, and they want to take guns away from you, I'm not going to focus on the guns like the mainstream media and the social medias do. I'm going to point out, why aren't you guys doing something about these corrupt organizations? Because that's what I talk about, corruption, a lot. Because there's corruption in the media, in the police forces, in the government agencies, inside the halls of government, inside corporations, and with people. And if we don't root out all the corruption, if we don't stamp it out, then we're never going to solve problems like the gun issue. We're never going to solve problems like the immigration issue or the educational issues or why the roads aren't good. We're never going to solve them unless we deal with the main problem, and that is corruption. But people would rather gravitate to these fakers in the mainstream media or on the social media sites because, everybody that I've followed in my day, that I've paid attention to, outside of just a few, every single one of them that is very accurate, gives you hard-hitting information. They don't have 20 million followers. They don't have the social media presence that everybody else does. They don't fake it. Yet they don't get the recognition either. It's an interesting situation. It's an interesting arrangement we have. This social media, this media world that we live in. I mean, it's no holds barred anymore. Anybody can do it because it is easy to do. The tools are there. But just because the tools are there doesn't mean some people should be doing it. And in the alternative media world, the internet media world, there's so many people, so much noise out there that nobody's going to gain any kind of traction unless you pull what this young lady pulled and was faking it, trying to make herself look bigger than she was. And I'm not talking pumping herself up. She was living a lifestyle that was well beyond her means just so people thought she was cool. Well, I don't care if people think I'm cool. It doesn't matter to me. I want people to gravitate to the show because I'm putting out good information. I'm giving decent entertainment. And I know I can't do that every week. Listen, I run this show as a one-man operation. I don't have a sound guy. I don't have a producer. I don't have a video guy. I don't have a social media guy. I don't have a website person. Doing it all myself. So sometimes I'm stretched a little thin and I can't keep up with it all. It's not like some of those shows out there that have 3 people carrying the show and they can split up the work. They can get 3 times as much work done. We just had one guy retire because it was too much work, and he was on a 2-man team.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Listening there. Don't go anywhere. The John Lebang Show is going to be right back. Just ask the hillbilly.
That's right. Right after this.
What about me? Maybe next time.
CRRM, CarePoint Billing Services. Their billers and managers are all dedicated to working for you to increase your profits. For more information, call CRRM at 248-579-3805. CRRM, CarePoint Billing Services. Pane in the Glass, commercial and residential window cleaning. For a beautiful, sparkling shine that's crystal clear, call Pane in the Glass Window Cleaning. You can find them on Facebook at Pane in the Glass.
You know, if you're getting married soon and you need good entertainment, you need to contact John Lebang. He's got 30 years of experience of wedding entertainment under his belt, and there is no one better and no one cheaper. He's running a special to the end of the year, $500 for your wedding if you book now. Contact John Lebang by email at jlebang@live.com or go to his website. That's www.jlebang.com.
Hey man, it's at the bottom of the hour, man. Do you know where your kids are, man?
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us here in this last 30 minutes of this week's broadcasting. Before we get to any more news, I'd like to get to this week's winner of our Caption This game. It's a game you can participate in if you are friends with us on Facebook. And the winner of this week's caption gets a download code for the debut EP of the band Prowess. The caption is myself, of course, looking into the camera in disbelief. We've had a lot of good responses this week. In fact, I thought the responses, although not as numerous as the prior week, were actually more thought out. We had a couple that were in the running, but one really stood out. And that was by Nick Nostril. He says, "Do you expect me to believe this bullshit?" Because that is exactly what that look is that I had on my face. So, Nick, if you're listening, we're going to be sending you a download code here in the next few days. And if you're not listening, well, we're still going to contact you because this is a Facebook game. With that being said, let's move on a little bit to some of the headlines that we still have to touch on before we get on out of here. First off, we're going to go over to Texas, where they are setting early voting records in a non-presidential year. Early voting records. So more people are getting out before the election is actually happening to cast their vote for a candidate who, in the last days before the election, could be exposed to be some kind of dirtbag. See, I'm not in favor of these early voting situations that have cropped up all across the country. I am of the belief that if you can't get up on that day of the election day and get your butt over to the polling place when you've known what day the election is going to be, there's no dispute about it. We know election day is on this date. If you want to extend it at all, why don't they make voting a 2-day event versus something you can just send your stuff in whenever you want? Hey, I'm just going to vote early because all I do is vote Republican anyways, or all I do is vote Democrat anyways. So it doesn't matter how good the candidate is. See, I don't even make my decision as a voter until the very last minute. Because my candidate, even though I supported the non-election of Hillary Clinton, for the person who got my vote, it took right up until I had to cross that line in there to do the vote. I wasn't sure. I knew which way I was leaning, but I wasn't sure because something come out in the 11th hour that could be so heinous and damaging to a person that you may want to change your vote. And if you voted early, there's no way to do that. Then we have the Mr. Weinstein out there, who's now, he sends his lawyer out to say that sex to boost your film career is not rape. And of course, there are all kinds of people on Twitter and all these social media sites that are going after for these insensitive or derogatory comments. But I'm of the belief that those comments are probably true. These ladies, from all we can tell, weren't forced into it by any physical means. He's just saying, hey, if you want to get somewhere, probably because you don't have much talent. That's what I'm thinking. But if you want to get somewhere, I'll hook you up if you hook me up. He's just not going to bring on somebody, give them a boost in their career for nothing in return. The industry's never worked like that. If you want to be popular, you have to give up something. Either that or you have to do hard work. Now, the best of the best will rise to the top, and they don't have to do that. We're not talking about the best of the best in these cases. Because if Harvey would have seen a bunch of dollar signs with some of these models or some of these actresses, he wouldn't have needed to push the sex thing. He did that because, in my humble opinion, these people were probably not going to get the shot any other way. So he says, hey, you want a shot? I'll hook you up. Otherwise, you're not getting a shot. And it's not just from him. They're probably not getting a shot from the female agents and the other important people inside the Hollywood industry. And these women didn't have to partake in any of this stuff. They didn't have to go back to his rooms or his houses or his hotels or wherever they had these liaisons at. But they wanted to be stars so bad they did it. And now, maybe many years later, when they don't have much of a career, maybe they regret it. They say, man, I should have never did that because I'm still not getting anywhere. I didn't get anything out of it. Well, you probably weren't going to get much out of it anyways. He offered you a shot. And it's happened to men too. And men have probably had to do some, straight men have probably had to do some gay things to get ahead. That's just my opinion. But we have evidence of that in the media as well. And am I defending Harvey Weinstein? No. But I'm not defending the Me Too movement or the women who participated in this. He was doing this to women who wanted to be stars in Hollywood. And the only avenue was the way he offered. Because probably they didn't have the talent to get to that next level on their own. And that, I know that sounds terrible. That's mean. Well, life's tough, man. Then we have all the way out in Africa, on the coattails of the Black Panther movie. See, I don't ever look at anything as coincidence when they happen so close together. But in Africa, the South African Parliament voted to seize white-owned land and, for now, they're not calling for the slaughter of white people. Not yet. White South African farmers will be removed from their land after a landslide vote in Parliament. The country's constitution is now likely to be amended to allow for the confiscation of white-owned land without compensation following a motion brought by radical Marxist opposition leader Julius Malema. It passed by 241 votes for and 83 votes against after a vote on Tuesday, and the policy was a key factor in the new president's platform after he took over from the prior president in February. So look at how fast that happens down there. They're saying that the time for reconciliation is over. Now it is time for justice. So people who had nothing to do with any apartheid or anything of that nature are going to have their land removed just because they don't have the correct amount of melanin in their skin. Now, it's only a matter of time, ladies and gentlemen. Only a matter of time before the confiscation will be over. And then where are these people going to go? You're taking their land away from them. What's next? They're going to be refugees? Can we bring these refugees to the U.S.? Is there going to be a refugee program from South Africa because of the heinous government actions down in South Africa? What else is on the agenda? Oh, we had the man shoot himself outside the White House. That's an interesting development. Just goes out there and kills himself out the White House. Good for him, I guess. One less idiot in the world. You know, you start wondering, maybe all the idiots will take themselves out, but they won't. They're going to take people out with them. So that's the biggest problem. Got the Oscars, if that matters. I don't know if anybody cares about the Oscars. Then we got all the trade war stuff that Trump had been talking about all week, where he was going to put tariffs on metal and aluminum, steel and aluminum or whatever. That got the stock market all jittery. Did anybody listen to him during the campaign? Because he did talk about putting tariffs on people. I mean, he didn't talk about taking guns away, confiscating guns. So that's where he's diverging from his apparent agenda, unless that was part of the agenda all along and they tricked us with Mr. Donald Trump. And then you got RuPaul, who's out there saying that the drag queen is a big FU to the male-dominated culture. Has anybody ever asked why the culture has been dominated by males? It's not because we were so evil to women. Then we're talking about pet cloning. We can that's good. In case you lose your pet, you can now have it cloned, because that's a good thing. That way you don't miss the pet. It's only a carbon copy of the real thing, but will the personality be the same? Will it act the same? I guess we should take a quick break, folks, as we're running up against the clock. We got about one more segment left in this week's broadcasting. Thank you for joining me. I don't know if I've expressed that enough to everybody, but thank you again for taking the time to be a part of the John Lebang Show. One more thing before we go. YouTube hits InfoWars with their third strike, as they're going to be shut down. It looks like YouTube is trying to take out Alex Jones. We'll be right back, folks.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Listening there. Don't go anywhere. The John Lebang Show is going to be right back. Just ask the hillbilly.
That's right. Right after this.
What about me? Maybe next time.
Fans, do you need a video for your brand new song but don't have a lot of money? Then contact John Lebang. His reasonable rates, professional look, and fast turnarounds will help get that song off the ground. Contact him at jlebang.com.
Powerful, epic music by Toothbox Roll. Life-changing lyrics come in every style, empowering humanity to finally unlock the chains of bondage. Experience the edgy side of positive music and rock your world today. From Primal to Divine, available now at sassyalternativemusic.com.
Pane in the Glass, commercial and residential window cleaning for a beautiful sparkling shine that's crystal clear. call Pane in the Glass Window Cleaning. You can find them on Facebook at Pane in the Glass.
And now your favorite game show, here's Celebrity Drop It Like a Deuce. If you want to win a prize, drop it like a deuce.
Are you sure this is a good idea?
If you want to have a good time,
Drop it like a deuce.
I have a bad feeling about this.
no need to sterilize.
Drop it like a deuce.
Oh no!
Drop it like a deuce. Drop it like a deuce. Drop it like a deuce.
And now your host for Celebrity Drop It Like a Deuce, here's John Lebang.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Celebrity Drop It Like Your Deuce. Tonight's contestant is Sleazy Vegetable Joe from the band Nothing Sounds Good. Let's begin. Jimi Hendrix or Kurt Cobain?
Jimi Hendrix,
1 point. Queensryche or Pearl Jam?
Queensryche,
1 point. Pike Place Market or Snoqualmie Falls?
Oh man, I love the falls, but I'm gonna have to go Pike Place.
Goose egg. Pain in the Grass or camping at Mount Rainier?
Oh, camping at Mount Rainier.
1 point. Rainier Cherries or a ferry ride to Bremerton?
Ooh, the cherries, Rainier cherries.
1 point. 5 questions. If you were an Olympic sport, what would you be?
If I was an Olympic sport,
Yes.
I would be lunatic bush rolling.
50 points. Movie that describes your childhood?
Mommy Dearest.
5 points. High school celebrity crush?
Oh man, I hate to sound like the guy that took a shot at Reagan, but Jodie Foster.
Ooh, 70 points. Worst food on the planet?
Oh, kimchi.
Ooh, good call, good call. 200 points. Oh, I just get sick thinking about that. Okay, last one. Most underrated band?
Man, that's a really tough one. I'm just gonna go with Nothing Sounds Good, bro.
There you go. You know, I leave that's a softball for every band I bring on. And they're naming this band and that band. You're the first one to, my band's the most underrated band. Finally, I got somebody to answer the question. 100 points.
Well, I didn't want to say Nickelback.
Yeah, they might be the most overrated band.
Oh man, I'm telling you.
Bonus 200 points, bringing you to a grand total of 629 points.
Thank you so very much again for the opportunity.
That was Sleazy Vegetable Joe from the band Nothing Sounds Good. Don't forget, have your dog spayed or neutered. Celebrity Drop It Like a Deuce is a John Lebang Show production.
If you want to contact the John Lebang Show, feel free to send an email to jlebang@live.com. And if you're on Twitter, look him up at John Lebang. And don't forget to go to his Facebook page at The John Lebang Show. Banger. Now here's John.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we carry on here in the second hour of this week's broadcasting of the John Lebang Show. So many people disregard things we say here because they're caught in the mainstream media. They haven't researched very much in their life. They get their news from the 2-minute news broadcast, where it gives you 2 minutes of that, 2 minutes of this. I understand the attention span isn't there, but there are a bunch of things that have been discussed here on the broadcast, as in on the conspiracy world, because we do delve into that, even though we don't go into the way far out stuff. We like to prove that some conspiracies that have been talked about that you might discredit have actually been proven to be true. foremost, this one I've been talking about a lot lately since all the shootings have been happening. Government mind control. A lot of people don't even know what that is about. But the conspiracy was the CIA was testing LSD and other hallucinogenic drugs on Americans in a top secret experiment on behavior modification. The truth is, the program was known as MK Ultra. We just discussed that, ladies and gentlemen. And it was real. The CIA started by using volunteers, but the program heads soon began dosing people without their knowledge. MK Ultra left many victims permanently mentally disabled. How about this conspiracy, ladies and gentlemen? John Lennon was under government surveillance. The conspiracy was the FBI was spying on former Beatle John Lennon. The truth was they most certainly were. Like many countercultural heroes, I'm not a hero, but I'm sure I've got an FBI file. Lennon was considered a threat. Anti-war songs like Give Peace a Chance didn't exactly endear former Beatle John Lennon to the Nixon administration or any other administration. In 1971, the FBI put Lennon under surveillance, and the Immigration and Naturalization Service tried to deport him a year later. What about government spying on you? A lot of people don't believe that. The conspiracy is, with the advance in technologies, the government is using its vast resources to track citizens. The truth is, in 2016, government agencies sent 49,868 requests for user data to Facebook, 27,850 to Google, and 9,076 to Apple, according to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, a major nonprofit organization that defends civil rights liberties in the digital world and advises the public on matters of internet privacy. What this article, see, I'm reading from a mainstream news article on MSN. What they didn't talk to you about is Project Prism, which pretty much gives the government all reins over the access to anything they want. Check into why they put Windows 10 together. Let's go to another government conspiracy, if we may. The fake battle for real war. The conspiracy, the Gulf of Tonkin incident on August 2nd, 1964, was faked to provoke America's support for the Vietnam War. The truth was, by the time news reached American ears, the facts surrounding the North Vietnamese attack on the American naval ship Maddox was already fuzzy. Declassified intelligence documents have since revealed that the Maddox was provided support for South Vietnamese attack on a nearby island, and that North Vietnamese were responding in kind. And this is according to the U.S. Naval Institute. The event opened the floodgates to direct American military involvement in Vietnam. If you don't believe that, how about the fake WMDs in Iraq? How about this one? The conspiracy: for decades, tobacco companies were bearing evidence that smoking is deadly. Well, that came out in a bunch of court cases. But what they don't talk about, the deadliness, this is the part of the conspiracy nobody wants to talk about, is that they put radiation into these tobacco fields. And that's probably the primary reason why there's so much cancer out of the smoking population and not all the other carcinogens. How about this one? Canada tried to develop gaydar. The Canadian government was so paranoid about homosexuality that it developed a gaydar machine. The truth is, it really happened in the 1960s. The government hired a university professor to develop a way to detect homosexuality in federal employees. He came up with a machine that measured pupil dilation in response to same-sex erotic imagery. The Canadian government used it to exclude or fire more than 4,000 men, nearly 400 men from civil service, military, and Mounties. How about some more conspiracies? The Illuminati and the U.S. government. The secret societies that rule the Illuminati and the U.S. national security agencies are in cahoots. That's the conspiracy. Well, here's the truth. We're here to tell you that that link does in fact exist. All that stuff on the back of the dollar bill can tell you, if you're adept enough, that there is a connection between the so-called group, the Illuminati, and the United States government. Let's talk. You want to talk about the Illuminati and the U.S. government? Woodrow Wilson, Adam Schiff. Let's get into all that. How about Woodrow Wilson's wife? You want to get back into that? Because that's an incredible story in itself. A stroke rendered presidential Woodrow Wilson incapable of governing, and his wife stepped in. Now, the truth is, Wilson did suffer a debilitating stroke towards the end of his presidency, but the government felt it was in the country's best interest to keep it quiet. The public didn't learn about the stroke for months, during which time his wife, Edith Wilson, was making most of the executive decisions. Despite Mrs. Wilson claiming that she acted only as a steward, historians who have analyzed the Wilson term in office confirmed that for well over a year, Mrs. Wilson was effectively president. Woodrow Wilson. During his reign, we got the Federal Reserve Act, the 16th Amendment, which is the income tax, which we never had before that. And that income tax, which most people don't understand, was put in place to pay for the interest of the Federal Reserve Act, because it became the printer of our money versus the government printing our money. Most people don't know. The Federal Reserve is a private organization. There's nothing federal about it at all. That's it, ladies and gentlemen, for yet another 60 minutes of sonic vibrations known as The John Lebang Show. I would like to thank all of our affiliate stations for continually supporting The John Lebang Show. Don't forget to go to the website. That's www.jlebang.com. There's archives of the show. Please join in on some of the fun games that we've got going there. You can find out anything you've missed is right there, just at your fingertips. And I'd like to thank you all for joining me. And until the vibrations of my vocal cords reach your ears again, this is John Lebang signing off from the Banger Studios. See you next week.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff. Tune in again next week. Same time, same space, same station.